Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a forensic mystery that is as shocking as it is deeply tragic, the unbelievable story behind Birgenair Flight 301. Think about this for a second. How does the failure of one single, seemingly insignificant instrument completely bring down one of the world's most sophisticated passenger jets? Well, that's exactly the chilling question we're going to answer today. Let's set the scene. It's February 6, 1996, in Puerto Plata, down in the Dominican Republic. A group of tourists are delayed, so a replacement Boeing 757 is leased at the absolute last minute. Boarding begins at 11:30 p.m. for what should be a standard 9-hour flight to Frankfurt. They lift off at 11:42 p.m., but literally just 5 minutes later, at 11:47 p.m., the plane completely vanishes from air traffic control radar. No distress call, nothing, just gone. And the heartbreaking reality behind that sudden silence? 189 German tourists and Turkish crew members were lost when that 100-ton Boeing 757 suddenly plummeted into the Atlantic Ocean. When rescue teams finally arrived on the scene, they found floating debris and jet fuel, but tragically, not a single survivor. So, let's get into part 1, the deep sea search. To figure out what on earth went wrong, investigators obviously had to find the primary wreckage. With 0 eyewitnesses in the air, the aircraft's internal recording devices were literally the only keys to solving this mystery. But they faced a massive hurdle. Those crucial flight data recorders were sitting 7,200 feet deep in the pitch-black ocean. And, to make matters even worse, they only had 30 days before the underwater locator beacons attached to those boxes died out completely. Talk about a race against the clock. So the US Navy gets called in, and they bring this remote-controlled submarine called the Curve to pull off a grueling extraction. I mean, it took this sub 2 solid hours just to descend that 7,200 feet. Once down there, operators had to meticulously scan the ocean floor, using a robotic arm to physically lift and move heavy, twisted metal debris out of the way, just to pull those recorders to safety.
Which brings us to part 2, unlocking the black boxes.
Once that data was flown back to the NTSB labs in Washington, D.C., the physical search quickly turned into a tense, psychological forensic mystery. The cockpit voice recorder threw up an immediate red flag while the plane was still barreling down the runway. As they accelerated past 80 knots, the recording caught this deeply chilling line from the highly experienced captain, Ahmet Erdem. "My airspeed indicator is not working." You see, his first officer's gauge was reading totally fine, but the captain's? Completely dead.
Now here's where things get really inexplicable. Instead of slamming on the brakes and aborting the takeoff to investigate, the captain just keeps going. He pushes the plane right to V1, which is 150 knots, the absolute point of no return, and rotates the aircraft up into the night sky. And get this, shortly after liftoff, his airspeed gauge suddenly springs back to life, like it just fixed itself. But honestly, that initial decision to ignore the anomaly, that sealed their fate once they were airborne.
Okay, to truly grasp the disaster that's about to unfold, you have to understand a tiny, crucial external sensor called a pitot-tube. It's the sensor on the outside of the plane that feeds air pressure data to the cockpit cages. It's essentially just an open pipe. As the plane flies forward, air rams into it, and the system measures that incoming air pressure to calculate exactly how fast the plane is moving. And that leads us right into part 3, confusion in the cockpit. As this 100-ton airliner climbs past 2,500 feet, a deadly contradiction unfolds. The autopilot is engaged, relying on the aircraft's data systems, but it almost immediately starts sounding these severe, totally contradictory alarms. Because of that malfunctioning pitot-tube we just talked about, the captain's gauge is now screaming that they're going a dangerously fast 350 knots, triggering a massive overspeed warning. But at the exact same time, the first officer's accurate gauge shows they are actually going much slower, just 200 knots, and rapidly approaching a deadly aerodynamic stall. Imagine being in that cockpit. You're bewildered by alarms firing simultaneously for going way too fast and way too slow. It's pitch black outside, you're climbing, and you're trapped in an impossible contradiction. You can literally hear the sheer panic and confusion in this haunting quote from the captain. Both of them are wrong. What can we do? So, trusting his faulty overspeed gauge and just trying to quiet the overwhelming noise of the alarms, the captain actually pulls back the engine power to slow the plane down. This drops their speed so low that it triggers what's called a stick shaker warning. If you don't know what that is, it is a violent, literal rattling of the actual control columns right in the pilot's hands. It's the plane's ultimate physical warning that an aerodynamic stall is imminent, meaning the plane is losing lift and is literally about to fall out of the sky. So, here is the absolutely tragic sequence of events. By reacting to a false high-speed warning, the captain inadvertently starved the plane of its actual required speed. The autopilot had already pitched the nose aggressively up because of the bad data. Then the captain pulls back the throttles. The 757 completely loses its vital lift, banks hard to the right, and plunges uncontrollably from 7,000 feet directly into the dark ocean below. Which brings us to our final section, the fatal oversight. You have to ask, why did that airspeed indicator fail in the first place? What on earth happened to that pitot-tube while the plane was on the ground? Well, the investigation completely pivoted away from the ocean floor and zoomed right back to the tarmac in the Dominican Republic. Dominican investigator Major Sufran started meticulously tracing the plane's maintenance history during its time sitting in Puerto Plata. And he found something incredible. Maintenance records showed this wasn't a plane flying multiple legs every single day. Because of low passenger demand, this specific aircraft sat completely idle on the tarmac for exactly 25 days before being called up for this final flight. When investigators questioned the ground mechanics about how the plane was stored during those nearly 4 weeks, they got a totally startling admission about the plane's pilot tubes. One mechanic stated flatly, "We didn't take any covers off and we didn't put any on." And guys, that right there is a massive red flag. Standard aviation regulations strictly require protective covers, usually with big, prominent warning flags, to be placed over pitot tubes during any extended parking. These are incredibly sensitive instruments. Leaving them exposed like that is basically an open invitation for blockages from weather, debris, or local wildlife. This one misstep initiated a textbook tragic cascade of errors. Think about it. The plane sits for 25 days. The pitot tubes are never covered, allowing one to become physically blocked right there on the tarmac. When the plane finally takes off, the air pressure gets trapped inside that blocked tube, sending completely false high-speed data during the climb, which fatally confused the pilots with conflicting alarms. So what exactly blocked that uncovered tube during those 25 days? Because the physical pitot tube is still sitting 7,200 feet deep in the ocean, we're probably never going to know for 100% certainty. However, investigators highly suspect it was something incredibly small. Most likely, a local mud dauber wasp. It's a species that is notoriously famous in the Caribbean for building tiny cylindrical mud nests right inside open pipes and holes. Ultimately, the loss of Flight 301 and its 189 passengers and crew serves as a very somber reminder of exactly why foundational maintenance protocols are what keep us all safe in the air today. It really highlights the extreme danger of cockpit confusion. I mean, the plane actually had 3 independent airspeed indicators, but under that immense, deafening pressure, the crew just couldn't successfully cross-check their redundant systems before time ran out. Let's end on this thought. As we continue to build more and more complex systems, will we remember that even the most advanced machinery on Earth can be brought down by a single, simple, overlooked procedure? No matter how advanced our technology gets, can we ever really afford to forget that human diligence is our truest safety net? Thank you for exploring this vital case with me.
For more crash investigations, subscribe to the channel, like this video and share it. Tell us what to investigate next in the comments. Thank you for watching and stay safe.
Thank you for watching the Flight Decoder. Subscribe for more authentic aviation investigations. Like this video, share it, and leave your thoughts.